Let's solve this together right here, right now.
Okay.
This is our season finale.
Photosynthesis is magic. It works.
You're gonna do something about it, whether big or small.
Right.
Fantastic.
That's the dream.
It's time to meet the new pioneers transforming farming and food. These extraordinary women and men are revitalizing the soil, restoring the environment, and protecting wildlife, essential elements of Mother Nature. Prepare to be surprised as we discover one of the most crucial movements dedicated to making our world a better place. It's time to meet our farm heroes. I'm here at TomKat Ranch, founded by philanthropist Kat Taylor and her husband, Tom Steyer. At TomKat Ranch, we are a learning laboratory. Our mission is to provide healthy food on working lands in a way that regenerates the planet and inspires others to action. Regenerative ranching is a way of practicing agriculture that harnesses the natural systems and cycles, like the carbon, solar, and water cycles. It's not just about regenerative ag. Soils are our largest carbon sink, and regenerative ag can put that carbon that's causing us problems in the air and the oceans back into durable soil carbon. But it also extends to benefits like biodiversity, water quality and retention, economic rural resiliency, human health, and animal welfare.
My name is Wendy Millett. I'm the director at TomKat Ranch. It is an amazing team, incredibly diverse team, and we've tried to sort of lean into everybody has some what we call superpowers and how to really let them show up and share that with the world as part of one of the fun things we get to do here in creating the fabric of the work.
Tell me about your background and how you ended up here at TomKat.
I was in Wyoming, Montana, working on ranches. Then I was asked by a family who had had a cattle ranch for 100 years to turn it into a guest ranch as a way to pay the bills and also to put a conservation easement on it to make sure that it would be protected forever. From that, I ended up in conservation for a bunch of years.
That's so important, the conservation easement. That land is protected forever.
Fast forward to Kat's vision, the vision of having this place protected for the future so that people could enjoy it.
My name is Annie Brusquez. I am the director of visitor experience here on the ranch.
Well, where are we standing? Because this is blowing my mind right now.
We are standing on the west side of the ranch. You're looking at the Pacific Ocean. We do call it a Mediterranean climate.
Mediterranean, because the ocean is right there, the salt air is coming in, you get some fog in the morning, that kind of thing.
Yes, absolutely. And our temperature's pretty even.
And TomKat Ranch is a whole 1,800 acres. So to you, when guests come here, what does that mean, a living laboratory, when they come on property?
What that means to me is just really sharing the gift of this land that we are so fortunate to be on and working on. And we're also just fortunate that we can do science trials and we can do grazing plans and try different things and then share with our visitors what works.
So I think that's what makes the distinction, right? Because people can go to a national park and enjoy the environment, but this is different because it's a living laboratory. It's the real deal. We're learning, and then you're getting that data out.
Kind of understanding where their food comes from, the quality of healthy food as far as for their health, the nutrients, the health of the land, and kind of an action item of what they can do in just their homes or in their own gardens.
That's right.
Yes, so we host about an average of 45 gatherings a season, and we have a variety of visitors that come to the ranch, from scientists to farmers, ranchers, legislators.
That makes so much sense because, most people learn by seeing, by doing, by touching. So that's fantastic because you're bridging that gap.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's, I think for me, you just brought it all together. This is a living laboratory where you learn, you can do, and what are you going to do with that knowledge, right? I think that's the key difference. You're going to do something about it, whether big or small.
Right.
Fantastic.
That's the dream.
My name is Dakota Glick. I'm the cattle coordinator at TomKat Ranch. I coordinate where the cattle go.
Tell me a little bit about your day.
I get up, I check the cattle, I look at the feed in front of us, I look at how the graze from the day before went, and I kind of assess where the cattle are gonna go and what kind of nutrition they need in front of them and how we're gonna build that out of the landscape that we've got. And then I move cows, which is definitely the best part of my day.
The best part.
Oh,
And
yeah.
when you say move cows, are you using the help of dogs? I saw some dogs.
Yes, I do have 3 herding dogs.
Regenerative agriculture cattle I've definitely seen are more athletic than any cattle I've ever seen before. Is that in your...
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a different animal. I mean, in this region, folks can have really big cows, 1,700 pounds, and our target weight is like a lot more like 1,100.
11.
So they're just a little more agile, a little more able to get up and down our steep slopes, and a little gentler on the soil when it does get wet in the winter. They don't punch it quite as hard with all that weight on that small little hoof.
Right. Well, and they're not confined. They're able to live out their cowness.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the big reasons that we want that more moderately framed cow, is because she's gonna use less of the energy she takes in for her just maintenance of her body, her metabolism.
What would you say to an entrepreneur who, I'm going to start my own company? What about agriculture? What about thinking with agriculture? What would you say to the entrepreneur?
We have really good models of, very profitable businesses in regenerative agriculture. We're producing beef, and that's what we sell. We produce some goat meat, and that's a market we'd love to explore here on TomKat. I think in the future there'll be huge opportunities around stormwater abatement, so keeping flash floods from happening.
Fire.
Yeah, exactly.
My name is Bella Newcomb, and I am the Gathering for Action Associate. So I help with every gathering we have here at the ranch, planning, production, execution for visitors. So we have scientists who come, we have legislators, we have community members, we have food systems advocates, producers.
Out of 900 million acres of farmland in America, let's see if you know the answer. How many acres, what percentage are fruits and vegetables grown on of those 900 million acres?
Oh gosh, my guess would be 30%?
It's 4%.
4%. Oh, that's totally off.
It's 4%. So, the way we're going to have, of course, we want to address fruits and vegetables and how they're produced in the agriculture, but where are we going to have the most impact? For the consumer, fruits and vegetables, right, 4%. And Kat Taylor, she inspired me because, we're focusing on cattle, but for the vegans, for the people who aren't going to touch a drop of meat as part of their meal, they still need to know the environmental impact, positive environmental impact that cattle have on the soil, and that healthy soil to grow their vegetables and to grow their fruits. They need livestock integration.
When you come and you have a connection and a relationship with the land, even if it's just for a few days, even if it's just for one day, you really feel that impetus to protect it and to get invested and to make hard choices about your food, about your day-to-day impact that are on a global scale really transformative.
We eat every day, most people 3 times a day. But how many times have they thanked the farmer? How many times have they thanked the rancher? Because that connection isn't there.
Mm-hmm.
So if while you're eating, to think of where it came from, the soil that it came from, really making that connection. So what would you say to your generation about getting into agriculture?
I would say if you have the interest in climate stability, if you have the interest in anything food related, then it's absolutely critical because we've lost that connection between ourselves and the food that we eat. And that is one of the most valuable things that I think that we can get back, especially as we, again, move towards a future where we want to see a more stable climate and we want to see better soil health. Sometimes with a lot of things that we do here where you're not spending money on fertilizer, we're moving all these cows on foot, you're spending a lot less money on fuel. So there really are a lot of economic factors that will come into play, especially further down the road, right? Maybe you have a little bit higher of an entry point. And then as you sort of continue, it really will sort of start to take care of itself, as we see in many different systems on the ranch.
You know, you talked about climate stability. It's true that as we increase the organic matter, the biodiversity, the climate kind of handles itself as far as carbon sequestration, as far as the nutrient cycle, as far as the water cycle. So if it's, you know, yeah, I haven't been paying attention to climate or this, that, and the other, but what they can grab onto is the health of the soil. At the end of the day, do you want healthy soil, healthy food?
It really all comes back to soil health. That's going to really help your water systems, your carbon systems, your mineral systems. And so as we continue to improve that soil, we see progress everywhere. You're going to see it in your food, from every level. You'll see it in your produce. You'll see it in your meat, in your animals that are eating the forage from the land that is grown in this really healthy soil. So definitely, if you have any interest in the food you eat, in food systems, learning about all these different aspects about how we have healthier food, not just to the end of having healthier food, to the end of having a healthier climate, a healthier planet, and healthier people, is a really remarkable place to start that will take you quite far.
While I was interviewing, Chef Austin and Chef Tim worked on dinner preparations in the kitchen.
My name is Kathy Webster. I'm the food advocacy manager, and I manage our Left Coast grass-fed beef.
Eating is basically an agricultural process, the end result.
Absolutely.
So it makes total sense, but I feel like it's been a missing piece, going from the land to the person who's eating the food.
We got involved with our local school district because they were starting to do their wellness plan. And the superintendent at the time, I think he thought he would do a community meeting about the wellness program. Little did he know that it was Kat, and she invited a couple of us from the staff to attend. Everyone believed the same thing and wanted the same thing, which is stop using cans and frozen food and do scratch cooking. They all agreed, and he said, I don't have the budget to hire somebody to come in and help us. And Kat said, I'll loan you Kathy, because my background actually many years ago was dietetics, conventional nutrition. So I worked side by side with the food service director there and helped them move to scratch cooking.
You know, a big theme as I've been talking to people, and I keep saying, if I only would have known this when I was in 3rd grade, if I only would have known the importance of the soil biome to my body's biome, because it's right in front of us and it's nature, and we've gotten away from that, right? What was your case to that person to get them to change their mind?
So she was pretty open to it. Most food service directors aren't, because they're used to a very regimented process, because they're part of the National School Lunch Program. They're following certain protocols. It was a little challenging because the school was in the middle of a construction project, including the kitchen. So there was a time that it was supposed to be done before school started. This is 2009-10. She and I were climbing through the window to bring in produce. Yeah.
That's guerrilla regen ag, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been in this town long enough to see the agriculture kind of shift from big conventional growers to these smaller organic producers that are graduating from the UC Santa Cruz Casas program. And they have beautiful produce. They take care of their soil. And it comes out at the end with the fresh produce. So we had our work cut out for us. It's a whole education process. They were like, where are the frozen waffles?
The French fries,
Yes.
the pizza.
Yes.
So what do you say to that? That's a challenge. How did you overcome that?
At the time, there was a program called Harvest of the Month. Taking that, it's like basically taking local produce that's in season and teaching kids about the history of that produce, where it's grown, the nutrient benefits, and then they have to do a taste test.
But isn't that interesting that the act they do 3 times a day, the thing that keeps them going, the thing that gives them energy, the thing that gives them the ability to study and run, they're not interested in because there's a disconnection.
Huge disconnection. I watched them throw the food away. It was heartbreaking, especially when I know what it takes to grow the food.
Let's solve this together right here, right now.
Okay.
This is our season finale. So how do you see us fixing this?
Education is key. I think getting people out on the land, when we actually bring people out to the ranches and farms, they start to get it and they make that connection. And I also think doctors are starting to get it because we're constantly pulling the nutrients out of our soil. So it impacts our human health in such a huge way.
That's right.
And if you can try to buy regeneratively grown and raised food, you help your whole health system.
It's preventative.
It is preventative.
So tell me about your horse program, your equine program.
Well, and a lot of the horses were working horses here for the, but as they've retired, gotten old, it's a fun thing to figure out what to do with these oldies when they're around and give them purpose. Horses are so social, they're herd animals, right? So it's been fun to actually integrate them into what I call Gallop Ventures. We have built those into the offerings when people come here. I tend to work on teamwork and leadership programs, and the horses are reading our body language. If a group comes in and they're not getting along very well, we can't even get into the arena. The horses have already picked up on that before we even get too close to them. And so it illuminates many things, both at personal level and for the groups in the way that they are relating to each other.
I'm a horse person. I brought my boots just in case you let me jump up on one. Good job, buddy. Use it.
Perfect.
Good boy. Yeah,
There we go. Good boy. These are retired quarter horses, working ranch horses. So at this point, until they move on of natural causes,
Right.
we probably won't expand the herd, honestly, just because the way that we use cows now with the electric fencing, and they just come when they're called. You know how the regenerative, the plant grazing works.
So the idea of the cowboy with the lasso and the, not really so much.
Not so much right now, no. And so really that's where the horses come in to now how do we use them in a way that is meaningful for them, meaningful people, and that's where these leadership and teamwork programs have come in.
So tell me, what are you doing with chefs in the area? I heard there was some kind of goat competition.
We did a goat butchery here. We invited a handful of Greater Bay Area chefs and try to put goat on their menus. So I talked to a good friend of mine who's a celebrity chef, Chef Dusky Estes. I ran it by her and her amazing husband, Chef John Stewart, who's also a butcher. And they're like, oh yeah, we used to put it on our restaurant menu. And then beautiful meals that Chef Tim, our chef, Dusky made to serve for lunch so they could see ways you can do it.
You want to help. And it's not just, I want to help America. We're helping the planet.
It's not just we're helping America and the planet, but it's really having businesses that are non-extractive, that are profitable on their own in much of rural America is a challenge right now because of some structural issues. And regen ag is also a really good avenue for like a rural revitalization in this country that we really desperately need.
I know there's a thriving internship program here.
Yeah. Younger people, they have so much exposure to the world now compared to our generation. And so they're coming in already much more tuned to the way that things are connected. So we're getting students from a whole lot of different walks of life.
My name is Isabel.
My name is Izzy.
My name's Rosie.
Great. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with me because you're part of the internship program.
Yeah. I came into this with a little bit of ranch experience. My grandmother owns a ranch, and so they're recently been trying to move over to regenerative ranching, and that's kind of like where this interest came from.
I go to Cal Poly, and I'm an animal science major, and so I was just looking for summer opportunities, trying to find a job on a ranch, and this was my first glimpse at regenerative ranching.
I come from the public policy side. That's what I'm studying in college. It's awesome. We kind of have different academic backgrounds, so we can each kind of bring a different worldview to this ranch, which is, I think, is so important. So
What's needed, right?
This is our finished compost, finished compost, which is soil.
All right. Ta-da!
Yeah, so this is our
Oh my God, it's a
farm
snake!
joy. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Oh my goodness.
I'm like, run!
Oh my goodness, that's so fun. This is the second snake we found in here.
People have gotten into this very urban-focused world, and yet there's a longing by many to be more connected and reconnected with land. And so how can they do that?
Well, and I think it's so important, recognizing all is not well. What can I do about it? How do I do that, right? So all of that is right here. So fantastic. Please pass along a thank you to Tom and Kat for being the founders, being the visionaries. Like you're on the ground doing the work, having this amazing team. But I do want to take a moment. I'm just looking around and I get emotional to have that commitment to share the love, their knowledge, and their resources, frankly, to inspire millions, to make a change in America, to make a change on the planet. Please pass along a thank you from me and Farm Hero, okay?
Absolutely, yep.
Coming up in part 2 at TomKat Ranch, we visit a farmer's market with the chefs and share a meal with TomKat Ranch staff and friends.
We're just gonna dump it in.
These are pecan ducks.
We're gonna cure them overnight, and then tomorrow we're gonna hang them over a pit.